That's laughing. Josh? Can you hear me good, yeah? Don't mess with me, shit.
Oh, Barry, what's in your kit box? I don't know why I just looked at your groin.
Look at me pouch.
Yeah, it's because you got your shorts on. It's because you got your shorts on. Your impression this week with your legs out. Aye.
I had my legs out last week.
Did you know?
You wish I had thighs like that. Like footballers' thighs, then.
Did you know? What do you think of men that shave the legs?
Absolutely gay.
Did you know that Brian shaves his legs?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's gay.
To fit into his leather pants. We were talking about this last week, weren't we? Were we?
I don't know.
We might have been, yeah, actually. We might have been talking about Brian shaved
legs.
He
says it's because he can't get into his motorbike suit with all hairy and all that. He's a hairy bastard, though, you know.
Oh, he's like...
His back is like a rug.
Did you ever see Robin Williams?
Yeah.
And he was like a gorilla. And that's what the way Brian looks like, yeah.
Yeah, Brian's hairy, like.
If you're new to this podcast, we actually don't talk about hydroponics anymore. We just come on for an hour and just slate Brian. So this is called the Life of Brian podcast.
What's he done anything today? Oh, yeah, with the clippers.
Today?
What's he done with the clippers?
What's he done with the clippers?
Oh, and he's lit all the
clippers.
Oh,
yeah. Brian and the clippers. There's more oxygen in the atmosphere because these clippers
are blowing bigger flames.
Yeah.
Out.
So I think it's due to the cloud cover. The cloud cover, more oxygen.
He's a bad conspiracy theorist, Brian, isn't he?
Yeah, the butane's burning brighter.
It's a bad one.
He's interesting though, isn't he? Aye. Oh, look at that, my fucking... I'm already on 0. But my computer isn't. Oh. Right, let's turn my computer down and let's get going. So it's the Growers Cabinet, Basil, episode 214, NPK Live podcast. What every grower needs in their cabinet so they don't shit the bed when things go wrong. And that's what today's podcast's on.
What's in your cabinet?
Ooh, tinned soup, beans,
no, that's your
some Haribo.
That's your cupboard.
You want my cabinet?
I want your cabinet.
We'll get into that. We will get into that. First of all, it is going to be a warm weekend. So if you haven't listened to last week's podcast, make sure you go and listen to it. Looks like we're going to have a bit of a heat wave. So be prepared and go and listen to podcast 213 this summer. And I think we'll just get straight into it. We will have the intro here and let's crack on.
All good? Ready to go? Turn my voice up a little bit. Oh, God, for everyone watching, the whole family.
Are you ready to go? Are you built a beer in the house that I built, in the booth that I built?
I know people tune in every Sunday to listen, but even when business is good, we still manage to do the podcast.
Barry.
What?
You ready for the podcast?
I was born ready.
Yeah, it looks like it.
What?
So...
That's the way I just get myself all just comfy and ready for a debate.
It looks like you're in the living room.
I'm ready to set the world to rights.
Sound. Let's kick it off with the podcast partners. Basil, ladies first.
Who would have picked first in this heat?
In this heat, talking about a grower's cabinet, what would you have?
Heat, I would want more fluids, not nutrients, in me water. Or shall I say me tank?
You'd have more fluids in your water.
More fluids in me. More water in me tank than nutrients. So I'm going to start with AutoPot.
AutoPot watering systems. We can announce today, because it's what day is it today that we're actually recording today's podcast? It is the 7th. This goes out on the 9th. AutoPot have just released the AquaValve 5 mil outlet from the valve. Bigger pipes, bigger connections. They've ran organics through it. It's out. It's available to buy now. And if you're a shop, highlight growth technology, nutriculture.
That's it.
Who else? Have I missed someone?
Don't think so.
I will have missed someone, so I'm sorry. But they're the three that I know definitely will have the valves in stock. So go to them for the AutoPot watering system, AquaValve 5. Brilliant piece of kit. It didn't used to get that many blockages, but now it's pretty much bomb-proof. He's ran organics through it, and it didn't miss a heartbeat. So if you're an AutoPot system grower, then talk to your shop, see what it takes to get the upgrades, and start getting even better results, faster flow rates. Just a great improvement, great innovation at AutoPot. Well done.
As always.
Next, SANlight.
Oof.
We're in the heat. We're still in the heat, and we're going to have it for I think September, October will be warm as well. So anyone who's bought SANlights, you're going to definitely get your use out of them in the next 2 to 3 months. If you haven't, you've got 2 to 3 months to get the most out of them. And even, I know that last year people used them through the winter and got great results. Q6W, Gen 2, dimmable, daisy chainable, run up to 6 off one plug. 9 off one plug. I always get that wrong.
I'm sure it's 9.
9 off one plug. And still the number one selling LED in our shop. Doesn't look like it's going to get overtaken anytime soon. No. So big shout out and thank you to SANlight LEDs. Next.
With the heat.
Well, it's also Grower's Cabinet. And what looks like a cabinet? What looks like a bit of a cabinet? It looks like a bit of a box. It's BudBox, Barry. BudBox grow tents.
That was
It's like a cabinet in it. It's a cabinet. It's a box. You put things in it. BudBox grow tents, but it's also white lines. The BudBox Pro white tents, powder coated poles, sturdy, strong. Top tip: zip the bottoms up first. What a lot of people have done or do is they zip the middle first without putting the bottoms on. So what happens is they put a lot of strain on that middle zipper. So what you do is you do the bottom zips, get them all nice and tight, and then you can do the middle zip easily, and it doesn't put strain on that middle zip. Nice. You can also, if you are struggling, pencil. It's graphite. So you rub the pencil up and down the zips, it lubricates them, and it means that you're not getting as many jams or sticky situations.
Won't really have a problem with them anyway.
You don't, but it's just, it was a little top tip from BudBox.
Prevention's better than cure.
It is indeed. Lubrication is always better than going in dry. Friction. There we go. Why are you using the big science words? You always tell me off. So there you go. BudBox grow tents, thank you very much. Can, fan, and filters. They're a bit big to go into a cabinet, but they definitely go.
Isn't my man Ewan over this week?
Next week.
Next week?
Yeah. Well, this week is it's on Sunday. He's taken me, Brian, and Jalal out. Yeah, he said, when we went to that all-inclusive buffet, you got us kicked out last time.
Did I?
Yeah.
What for?
For eating too much.
Tell him I'm on a diet now, lad.
He's on a diet?
Yeah, I'll be at the salad bar.
Yeah. Pulling faces. Can, fan and filters. I think the satellite is I don't think the satellite's been talked about that much. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to get one.
We're going to do a full podcast just on satellite.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's coming soon, actually. We've got, how many podcasts? We've got next week's podcast, which we'll talk about at the end of this episode. We've got the podcast after that. Then we're into September, and we're going to do the hydroponics deep dive. I'll explain more about that at the end as well. But they can fan and filters. Erwin, and there you go. IceMax, QMax. If you buy the QMax, make sure you get the controller.
Because bit of a pointless effort.
It is.
So don't get me wrong, the QMax is great on its own.
But you want that controllability.
You want the controllability of it.
Yeah, definitely. Next up, Gavitas. Grow cabinet. You don't really keep a Gavita in a cabinet. But there's still good grow lights. Yeah. So the 6750 double-ended flex, that is, if you've not used Gavitas before, that is the one that you go for, especially in the UK. If you're in America or areas in the world where you tend to have high ceilings or you do commercial agriculture, horticulture, then you definitely go for the 1000-watt double-ended lights. Gavita have got every light and they've got every aspect of light covered. So if you go to their website and type into Google Gavita, then you'll be able to see all the lights, the descriptions of them, how they work. They have different shades for every different circumstance. They are the number one double-ended light and fixture company in the world. They're the number one HPS company in the world in terms of horticulture. So give them a check out on Gavita. Go and follow them on Instagram. Go and follow everyone on Instagram, and you can stay up to date with what everybody's doing. Who else?
Is there anyone else?
There is. There's the big one that we always start with at the beginning. We've left till the end this time.
The big one in the green bottle with the red lid.
Yes.
That'd be CANNA.
And they've done a very nice thing, actually. If people have seen that, the CANNA bottles have changed recently. It's because they have allowed their CANNA bottles, their proportion of CANNA bottles to be used for, because CANNA bottles are food safe, they've allowed them to be used for, say, medicinal purposes or
hand sanitizers,
for use for human consumptions and for everything that's going on in the pandemic. Their bottles are very food grade plastic. So well done to CANNA. Thank you very much for your little contribution. But the bottles have changed, but the product in the bottle is still the same.
They will go back to the original ones eventually when everything slows down.
Settles down a little bit.
Yeah.
But thank you very much to CANNA Nutrients. Go and check out their website, canna-uk.com. And there's a lot of good, helpful tips and videos and all kinds on their website. Last but not least, Garden Culture magazine. You should have every edition in your cabinet. You should have every edition just in every room you go into, because you never know.
Isn't it?
At a moment's notice, you may need to read the Garden Culture. It's downloadable, gardenculturemagazine.com. And very good website. The UK's number one horticulture, hydroponics, indoor gardening, outdoor gardening magazine. Yeah, very good.
Well.
He's done very well. He's smashing its head in, isn't he?
Yes.
Old Eric. Young Eric.
Eric.
Yeah, and lovely Celia. Yeah, don't know how she puts up with them, to be honest. There you go, Eric. Thank you very much, Garden Culture. Thank you very much, all the partners. Let's crack on with the episode. Growers Cabinet. So, today's episode is a little bit of a debate, maybe. It's
I love a good debate.
What
I'm always right, though.
The shit always, some shit always goes wrong in your grow room. And what happens more than not is you buy your equipment and you're all panicked about getting all your equipment to do your growing. What people don't think about is when things go wrong. So if things go wrong in most parts of the country, in the world, shops aren't open on a Sunday and they close early on a Saturday. That's us. We close at 3 on a Saturday. So if your shit goes wrong at 12, 1 o'clock on a Saturday afternoon, it's unlikely you're going to be able to get out and come to the shop and get your replacement. So you've got all of Saturday night and then all of Sunday, and then you've got to get to the shop on Monday morning, 2 or 3 days. That can cause big problems in your grow room. So you need to have your grower's cabinet. And this is a list of essentials that we think you should use or have at your disposal in your room. And you don't have to have them. You don't have to have any of them, but it'll just give you less stress.
To make your life easier, won't it?
It is. So let's kick it off with hardware. This is everything that's not really plant related. You don't give it to your plants, you don't feed it to your plants, but it's what you need in your grow room for when things really hit them, when the shit really hits the fan.
I think a lot of it as well, just to build a grow room.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, so building a grow room, keep it in your grow room. Always make sure you've got these tools to hand.
Do you want me to start it?
Kick it off, Basil.
Do you want me to read the full list then, quick?
Go on.
Scissors, scalpels, X-ray tape, 2-litre jug, pipettes and syringes, sticky tapes, thermos, rope ratchets, plant wire and support, string, plant tape, screwdriver, gloves, alcohol wipes, scalpels, zip ties, spare Jubilee clips.
You missed out various fuses.
I didn't.
You did.
I didn't.
You did.
I didn't.
Do you want me to read it fast?
I just didn't say it because I didn't want to entice people to change fuses when they're not qualified sparks.
Ooh, fucking hell. Do you want me to read it out fast as I can?
I could read it out quicker.
No,
I've just done it so they could hear me, though. I could.
I used to do horse commentary.
Go on then, do it.
And in the lead we have the scissors, scalpels, tape, X-ray, 2-litre jugs, pipettes and syringes, sticky traps, thermometers, rope ratchets, plant wire supports, all string, plant tape, various fuses, screwdriver, glove, alcohol wipes, stapler, zip ties, spare Jubilee clips.
I can do it well quicker.
Go on. And...
and they can just freeze the screen and then it's...
What if they just listen to the podcast?
No, well, they're fucked.
Yeah, when you show it to the screen.
Let's go through slow then.
Scissors. Everyone should always have scissors in the room.
You
this is like, it's not, the grower's cabinet is not always essentials. Scissors are essentials. Always have them. If they break, make sure you go and get a couple of spare pairs.
And make sure you clean them after use.
Yes, isopropyl alcohol, 99.99%. Leave the tip of the scissors in there and gets off any shit and dirt. Keeps them sterile as well. Scissors, what's your favourite brand, Barry?
Cheeky masses.
Blue handles, Cheeky Masters, Japanese steel. They're just unbelievable. You remember back in the day when me and Thomas were doing the early podcasts, we did a whole podcast with Thomas figuring out what Cheeky Masters couldn't cut through. And he
Cut through everything.
He had a can of Coke, ribboned the can of Coke to bits.
Nah, do you know Jubilee clips? You know, the X, you know, if you get like, if you're putting an 8-inch fan up, we sell our Jubilee clips and they go from, I think it's 4-inch to 14-inch. So you just buy one and it's universal. It just cuts them. You know, the excess, what's over, just chops that right off.
Yeah.
Ah, good.
Bit of tape over the end of your Jubilee clips so you don't cut your finger off. That's a proper Brian top tip, that, isn't it? Yeah. Do you know what Brian's done?
What?
We've set up our fucking COVID screen, haven't we, in the shop so people can come back in the shop now. And it's 2 metre distance, COVID screen, don't sneeze at us, please. And Barry's put it up, it's great. Perspex, how much is fucking Perspex? Yeah, they're robbing bastards.
Yeah, horrible swats.
Fucking hell.
It's cheaper to buy glass.
They're just horrible bastards. Yeah, and that's enough said about that. Perspex.
Do you want to know how much it was?
Go on.
For a 2.4 by 1.2 sheet of Perspex, £120.
That's fucking ridiculous.
Glass would only probably cost you £40.
I reckon an Elon Musk fucking force field would cost less than that.
It's a joke.
Well, Barry's built it. Looks very good. And he's put the piece of wood up in the middle. Support. Bump, bump. Screw, screw. What did Brian do?
I know what you're going to say. I know what you're going to say. The screws were sticking out about 10 mil on the other side. Just 2 of them.
Yeah.
But it's on the front side of the counter. So no one had
unless you reached over to try and hit yourself.
Yeah, the only way you're hitting yourself is by trying to hit yourself. And Brian's got rock holes and screwed them onto the end of it. He's a sausage, isn't he?
A sausage or a genius, we don't know.
Sausage.
It's only to save himself. He should walk around with just a helmet on.
Yeah.
Don't know how that fella fucking injures himself so much. But scissors, they're very useful. Cheeky Masters, £12 a pair, get them. And you'll never look back to another pair of scissors. Scalpels, you need them to take your cuttings. You need them to, if you need to really finely cut something out, they're perfect. You should always have scalpels in your grow room. And if you're doing cuttings, make sure you've got a nice clean pair. Once you've used your scalpel for your cutting, keep that in your grow room, and then that'll go for cutting any ducting that you need to fine cut on or anything else you need. Scalpels, very important piece of kit.
X-weave tape.
I've put tape and in brackets X-weave because not just any tape, can't be masking tape, can't be brown tape, can't be sellotape. It's got to be X-weave. You pay £10 for a roll, there or thereabouts.
It's the only one that stays up with the humidity.
It is, yeah. Isn't it? Yeah. Moisture doesn't affect it. It's got little bits of nylon string all the way through it in an X shape or a cross shape. That's why it's X-weave. And it's very, very strong. Once you can literally, if you I'd go so far to say is a 1500 filter, and you pour an Isomax and you wrapped it a good few times, you buttered the 2 up, wrapped it in X-weave and lifted the Isomax up, it's strong enough to pick up the 1500 filter with it. So you do that, then you put your neoprene clamp on, and that's how you butt up fan and filter.
2 litre jug, but we'll say 2 litre jug, pets and syringes.
2 litre jugs, pipettes and syringes.
Essential for measuring out feeding your plants and measuring out your feeds.
It is, yeah. 2 litre jugs for the smaller growers. Pipettes if you're using pH down. Top tip for pH down, 100 litre tank, do 5 drops to 10 drops at a time. Drops, not like full squeezes. Give it a good mix. Leave it for a couple of minutes. Let the pH stabilise, take your reading. Then do drop by drop. It takes a bit more time, but if you throw loads of pH down and it takes your pH right down, then you're just going to have to start all over again, and that'll take you a lot longer. So make sure you got your pipettes, and make sure you got your 10ml syringes for your high concentrate nutrients, and your 100ml syringes for your A, and a 100ml syringe for your B, so they're not mixing inside and causing whatever crap would go on. Make sure you got your measuring equipment, top tip, and that should always be in your cabinet.
Sticky traps. Now, I only learned this last year. When I've ordered sticky traps, if they come blue or they come yellow, it never mattered to me.
Yeah.
But and then I only learned that last year, that the blue ones are for thrip,
yeah,
and the yellow, don't get me wrong, and the yellow ones are for everything else. If you rung a blue one up in the room, you will catch flies on it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But
I just think more flies are attracted to yellow. It's like a plant. I think thrips must just see differently. So they must be more attracted to the blue.
thrips don't fly though, do they?
The adult thrips do. Like if you've got adult thrips, then you're fucking in a very late stage and you've got massive problems. So they go from the thrip larvae and the small thrips, which you see as tiny grains of rice, walking up and down the leaf, causing that snail trail, sucking the chlorophyll out. Then as they progress and as you haven't noticed them, the adults get wings and start to fly. But the sticky traps will stop that adult from flying to another plant and putting more fucking shit down. So they capture them. And they're also, you know, if you see the ones with squares, you can see sort of per square how bad your infestation is. So if you get the ones with squares, that's what they're for, to see how bad it is. People hang them, should just have them in the room just as a prevention to see the first signs of pests. But always have just a little packet in your room, because if you see pests, get them hung up and then you can deal with the problem.
Prevention's better than cure. I'd just hang them up anyway.
Always. Thermometer. You need a spare for when they misread or break. This is a big problem. Thermometers are just electronic pieces of equipment. They're quite cheap and they run off a battery. If you've got one, we always say, don't you, buy another one and put it in your room. If you've got two, buy another one and put it in your room. It'd be great if you could have 4 for each corner and you can get a good average reading for what your room's saying. But you should always have a spare that's kept in the box with the battery, brand new. And if 2 or 3 are reading and you think, oh, that's a bit mad, put your other one in, make sure that the brand new one's reading the same, because people tend to alter the grow room based on what the thermometer's saying. So you could, I know people have walked into a room and it's been really hot, like boiling. The plants are going to die because the thermometer says 26. They've gone, oh, it must be all right, yeah. Just walked out. A couple of days later, dead plants. Don't rely on your equipment. Use your own sensors as well. So keep on sparing your grower's cabinet. So rope ratchets, Barry.
Yeah, you need one just in case they break. That's always handy to have a spare though.
Yeah, it is, yeah. Yeah, it is. I was going to say something then, but and to entice people to message me.
What?
Just say that this podcast has been edited, and if you want to know what the edit was, to get in touch.
We'll have to do like an uncut version, won't we?
Yeah.
But we did already answer rope ratchets, but we had to edit it.
Yeah, because Barry was harsh, and we'll just leave it there. Rope ratchets, when shit gets messy, your fan could fall. If you use rope ratchets to keep your filter up and you're using a heavy filter, there is a small chance that it could fail. If that happens, what is that?
It's a big seagull. Come on,
fucking end of the world.
Plant wire.
No. Rope ratchets, always have a spare, because if your filter falls, you need to hang it back up. If anything happens, it's always good to have a spare rope ratchet. And be careful. People buy these 5 kilo shitheads and they don't do fuck all. Make sure you get the 68 kilo. And if you're hanging fans and filters, there's ones out there that do 120 kilo. So make sure you get the heavy duty ones if you've got big filters to hang. You may proceed, Basil.
Makes me laugh, that rope ratchet. I always think ratchet. Plant wire and support. String.
Plant wire or support. So if people are training or scrogging or anything like that, they tend to have plant wire, but it is good. Sometimes you don't expect your plants to fall over. If you haven't used some products that can strengthen the plant, or if your
plants aren't falling over, you're not doing something right.
What if you've got a really good stable base?
It still should be falling over, mate.
I suppose you should, yeah.
Or it should lean.
Yeah.
Underweight.
Yeah. Because you're massive tomatoes.
Yes.
You're beef tomatoes. Yeah. So plant wire support or string, keep them supported. You never know when you're going to need them, so just have them in your cabinet ready. Now, we've put plant tape here, and the reason to not use X-Weave is I've done this in the past. Done a big fuck up. So I'm a big fan of scrogging, biggest fan of DWC. So you're scrogging DWC. When you're doing it with rapidly grown plants, you can sometimes you top them, you got 2 arms, you scrog them out. It tends to happen as you've got the 2 arms and they're being spread out, the middle snaps and massive hole in the middle. So what I did is I X-weaved it, fully intending to cut it all off, but I've put the plant together, X-weaved it up, happy as Larry, it's sorted and it's fixed itself, formed a nice big knuckle. I didn't take the X-Weave off though. And X-Weave is very fucking strong, as we've just said.
It strangled the plant.
So what we had was like let's say a 3 centimetre stalk stem that then went into a 1 centimetre stem that then went into a 3 centimetre stem, and the plant just grew around.
You know, the best tape to use is masking tape.
Is it? Why? Because it breathes.
Because it's like a paper and it rips.
Yeah.
So as the plant does repair itself and grow, it'll rip
rip it before the X-Weave won't rip, yeah. So don't use X-Weave to tape up your plants. Use proper plant tape or masking tape, as Barry's just said. So that's it. Always have some good plant tape ready to fix any wounds on your plant. Now, electrical engineer Barry, various fuses. What's the safety message? If you don't know what you're doing, watch a YouTube video and put the responsibility on
Get someone that does know what they're doing.
Yeah, change the fuse. Quite often,
I think everyone should know how to change the fuse, though.
Yeah, I know how to change a fuse, and that should say enough, shouldn't it? 13 amp fuses, 10 amp fuses, 3 amp fuses, whatever it is you need, have them ready. When things tend to go, like your timers or your ballasts, it tends to be your fuse. It's the safety of the piece of equipment. So change the fuse before you take it back to shop. It'll save you a journey. It'll save the shop having to send off and give you new pieces of kit. It helps everyone just by a simple fuse.
And you will need a screwdriver to do it.
You will indeed. And you'll need a screwdriver for your Jubilee clips. And you'll need a screwdriver for lots of other things that Barry does that I don't really pay much attention to. But screwdrivers, what type? A Posi or a Phillips?
You have one of each, don't you?
Do you? Sound. Gloves, standard. Everyone should have gloves. You don't want to be using your pH down or your Clonex or your high concentrated nutrients and getting them all over your hands. You need your gloves to keep your skin safe. Barry's got very sensitive skin on his hands, so he always wears 2 pairs of gloves. Moisturizers of a night, puts his little silk gloves on. He doesn't want anything to happen to those baby soft hands, do you?
No.
So he always wears the gloves. What do we go for? Black nitrile. Price of fucking gloves. Yeah, vinitrile. Vinyl nitrile blend. Very strong. Price of fucking gloves has gone through the roof.
That's because everyone's cashing in on this COVID-19
I know.
stuff. That's
hand sanitizer's gone through the roof. Everything.
Face masks, perspex, anything that's related to it has gone through.
Alcohol wipes.
My head out, lad.
I know. Supply and demand, isn't it? Business 101.
Fucking cheeky cunts.
Alcohol wipes is also in there, and we've got alcohol wipes because you can clean all your equipment with it.
Yeah.
You can clean your scalpels, clean your scissors.
And yourself.
Yep, you can clean yourself, clean your screwdriver if you so wish. Alcohol wipes are very good to have. Keep some to hand. And then we've got the last 3. Staplers, zip ties, spare Jubilee clips. Stapler, if you're putting up sheeting, if you're putting floor secure down, staple it to your skirting boards, black and white, silver, whatever it is you're putting up, and you use a stapler, you do come to a point where it could fall off. If you've got a high power fan and you haven't put it up properly in the first place, you can rip it off. Top tip, staple your black and white through a piece of cardboard, acts as a washer. Didn't know I knew build top tips, did you?
Why isn't your phone on mute?
It is. That was a vibrate.
Who is it?
Don't worry about who it is.
Answer it now, get them on podcast.
No, they've hung up anyway.
Spare Jubilee clip. Do you know why you have a spare Jubilee clip?
Do you tell?
Because sometimes people over tighten them and they slip, and then that's it. The fuck they won't.
Is it?
Up. Yeah.
So if you're over tightening the Jubilee clip, it's fucked.
It's fucked
completely. Doesn't grip. Okay.
You flatten the thread on it.
Yeah. All right.
You're saying like you understand me, but you don't. You're looking at me like I'm soft.
No, I'm not looking at you soft. I'm looking at you like that's what Barry does.
Yeah.
Zip ties though. Zip ties are fucking great. Zip ties will solve any problem.
Yeah.
Any problem. Always good to have zip ties. Scissors, zip ties, and a fresh orange. That's what you need to solve any problem. Barry, stop looking at your fucking watch. Yes, we all know you did a length
Looks
of
like
20
a
seconds
list,
yesterday.
Scissors, X-weave tape, fucking rope ratchets, alcohol wipes, zip ties.
Yeah,
like a fucking rape package.
Yeah, I wouldn't know that. Hey, you fucking.
I can just imagine if rapists, that's what they would use.
Fucking bad, man. Yeah, no wonder we've got to make this fucking podcast 18 and explicit. We could imagine the audience would have if it was a clean podcast. So that's the hardware that you need to always have in your grow cabinet. Next up is nutrition. So what nutrients should you always have in your cabinet? Now, this is the important one. Most people will have the grower's cabinet hardware. So nutrients, you might not always have the spare in your cabinet. So here we go. CANNA flush. If you've got a high EC runoff, if you've got tip burn or you've got nutrient lockout, you need to give them a good flush. You can always just do it with water, but CANNA flush will break down the salts quicker and allow you to crack on quicker. Yeah. High EC runoff in the bottom of your sources, you can check that with your EC pen. Tip burn is the brown at the end of the leaves. And nutrient lockout, you'll start to get deficiencies of certain nutrients. So before you try and solve the issue, it's always good just to give it a good flush out and refresh the media. What's next, Barry?
CalMag.
A good CalMag. Everyone thinks that CalMag fixes everything. It doesn't fix everything, but it's still important to use. It does fix a lot of common deficiencies, and that's why everyone on the forums and on Facebook and Instagram, if you've got a deficiency, everyone shouts out CalMag because it does help with a lot. But it's
not the be all and end all.
It's not the be all and end all. It can help with, if you've got a pH imbalance, then calcium and magnesium are massive nutrients and they can block others. And if you're adding a lot of PK and flowering, it can be good to add a little bit of CalMag.
It's also good
assist uptake.
If you use a reverse osmosis machine.
Oh, it's easy for you to say. Yeah. a reverse osmosis machine.
Reverse osmosis.
Yes, because it buffers the water, doesn't it? It
puts it back in.
Yeah, put your cal and your mag back in. Stop your pH from swinging. It's good. Or even just on soft water, like we've got.
I do like the next one, though. Revive by Advanced Nutrients.
Now, you did hear correctly. I did just praise an Advanced Nutrients product.
Yeah, that is one good product. We'll have to get that tested and see what's in it.
I know, because it can't just be a bit of nitrogen and calcium. It does work, yeah. It probably is diluted as well, like most of the products are.
I can imagine it to be like 1% of something.
But whatever it is, it does its job. If your plants are stressed, Calpol for plants like that. If your plants are stressed, not looking the best, this is a good product to help them out. Revive. Litre, £20, 2 to 4 mil per litre. Always have it in your cabinet because you will need it at some point. The next one's one of my favourite products, to be honest. Yeah, by Botanica.
Because you do get pythium and root rot a lot, don't you, Stephen?
I just... Good one, Barry. No, I don't actually, because I keep my oxygen levels high and I keep your water temperatures on point. But sometimes that's not possible. Maybe your water chiller might break because you haven't got a spare fuse to fix it. HydroGuard prevents pythium. So if you do struggle in DWC, it'll help prevent pythium. But even if you've got pythium or root rot, it'll actually get rid of it because what it is, it's a bacteria. It'll outcompete the pythium bacteria. So it takes hold of your roots and pythium can't do anything to your plants. And so very, very good product by Botanica. Then another similar product is WiltGuard.
By CX.
By CX Hydroponics. The whole CX range is phenomenal.
I like CX.
But WiltGuard is good to have if you've underwatered and they start to go flaccid. There's a good nice word.
What the fuck does that
flaccid, mean? Wilted. It's another word for like wilted and weak and shit. Then you can always rebuild them. You give them water, give them nutrients. But WiltGuard basically strengthens the cell walls of the plant so that they lose water less readily. And you can go a bit longer between watering cycles, so it gives you a bit of a safety net. And if you have gone too far, throw in a bit of WiltGuard to prevent it from happening again. And it's cheap as well, £20, 1 mil per litre.
The whole CX range is cheaper though, isn't it?
Cheap,
Regenerate's
but good. Yeah. Mighty Growth, which is the next product on
them. They're all quite good, aren't they?
It is. Mighty Growth Enhance is the next one by CX. It's got ammonium nitrate, calcium nitrate, different forms, slow release and quick release. So if you've got a deficiency, it'll solve it quickly and maintain your nitrogen levels into your plant and your media. Also gives a little boost of calcium, which is, if you've got deficiencies, giving a little boost of calcium helps strengthen the cell walls again and can help with nutrient uptake, just like CalMag does. So Mighty Growth Enhancer, again, £20, 1 mil per litre. It's cheap enough just to put in your cabinet and leave it there. Some people use it all the way through in veg, 0.5 mil per litre because it is strong. And but you should really consider just having it on your cabinet for any nitrogen deficiencies.
That's a good one to have in your cabinet. And that should have been like probably, I'd say, halfway down the list of buffer 4 and 7 for your pH, man.
Yeah, well, we're on to non-nutrient liquids now. These are the essentials that you should have in your cabinet. people come to the shop and get the pH pens calibrated from us because we do it for free. We're very good at it. But I think people think it's like a science. It's not. You get buffer 4, buffer 7. You put it in the 7, calibrate. Put it into the 4, calibrate. Job done. Blue Lab. If the tick goes on the Blue Lab pen, it doesn't mean that it's not calibrated. It just means that it could do with a bit of a calibration just to make sure that it's continuing to be accurate. Yeah. So having a buffer 4 and 7 is always good to keep your pH pen on point. I've put EC standard in there. It's not really a needed product, but if you're worried that your nutrient solution might be a bit high and you're like, surely can't be that much, it is good. It doesn't do anything to the pen. Like you don't ever need to calibrate a Blue Lab Trunction or EC pen, but it just allows you to go, let me just double check this pen's defo accurate. You put it in the EC standard, it'll tell you exactly what it is. Like I think it comes up to 1.2 and you'll go, well, yeah, it is working, it is right. Yeah. So I need to alter me nutrients. And then obviously pH up and down in veg and flower. Most important thing, it's one of my top tips. Get a nitric acid if you're in veg. Nitric acid will turn into nitrogen and lowers your pH. Phosphoric acid for in flower becomes phosphorus, and the plants use a lot more phosphorus in flower. pH up is just your pH up. You've got one pH up and 2 forms of pH down. Do use one in veg and one in flower, and you'll have less problems. And that's your non-nutrient liquids. You should always have those in your cupboard. And then finally, pest control. We can't just list endless products of pest control. I quite like CANNA. It's available from the Yellow Bottle Bloom. If you know Andrew and he's your rep, get the CANNA from them because it's a blend of essential oils. It's organic and you can use it up to the last day of harvest. And it really does work. It just takes a bit of continued effort. Works on thrips, spider mites, any pests because they all hate essential oils. And then you've got one of my favourite products for pest control is Tanlin.
Isn't that by CX?
That's by CX as well, yeah. Fungus gnats, get rid of them. So fungus gnats are hard to spot until you disturb the top layer of soil, or you've got the adults which fly about, and you'll get them with your sticky traps. You get fungus gnats because you've overwatered, and it starts to decompose the roots, or fungus can start to grow. Fungus gnats will feed on that, and that's where they come from. Tanlin is a type of bacteria that basically gets into the stomachs, I think, of the fungus gnats and just kills them. So that's how Tanlin works. It's a little brown solution, 1 drop to, I think it's about 10 litres. And it works very well. You've got to use it consistently for about 2 or 3 weeks just to make sure that you've got rid of it. And the best thing for fungus gnats is stop overwatering. Let the substrate or media dry right out, and that'll kill the majority of the eggs and the adults as well. And that's it, really, pest control. So I've done a couple of bullet points to finish off with. These aren't sort of growers' cabinets, but I just thought it'd be good to throw them in at the end. The start, early veg.
If it's 4 starts, what do you mean?
Like for the very, very beginning.
Is that what you're doing?
Tiny, yeah. Late flowering and any deficiencies. So some good products to use at the very start. Kelp and seaweed products, a good foliar spray and a good root stem. That's what you should have in your cabinet ready for the start. In early veg, a growth enhancer, foliar sprays and silica, and some baby feed. A lot of people just use diluted A and B, but the ratios aren't right for small plants. A lot of people, like Hydroponics, do, what's it called? I think it's just called Head Start. That's it. Hydroponics do Head Start, which is 10 mil per 1 litre. You do have to use a lot of it, but it's perfect ratios for young plants. So make sure you're using a baby feed if you want the best results. In veg, you're obviously onto your base nutrients. Growth enhancers if needed. If you've given them a good growth enhancer in early veg, then they've got the right amount of nitrogen, then your base nutrients take over. It's only a growth enhancer if they look maybe a little bit yellow or pale. And a good root stem and a silica throw veg to strengthen. A lot of people are trying to use silica starting and flowering. There's no point building foundations when you've already up to level 3 on your high rise. So make sure you start with the silica. Then into flowering, you want to start using flower initiators, a mix of grow and bloom. So if it's unlike CANNA, which is the same all the way through, some people have veg and flower. Mix. So when you're into the last week of veg, start adding a little bit of your flowering at maybe 25%. Week 1 of flower, use 50-50. Week 2 of flower, use 25% of your grow and 75% of your bloom. And week 3, you're fully
so it's
into
like
your
weaning
flower.
off it.
Yeah, weaning off it. Keeps your nitrogen levels up there as well. Also for flowering, flicking from 18 hours to 12 hours of light is a stressful thing for a plant. So tonics, vitamins for stress relief at this point, really good and help them transition to flower a lot easier and get them going. You should be able to finish your flowering cycle a bit quicker as well. Then you've got late flowering, so that's your PKs, your metabolism enhancers and oil enhancers if you want them. The jury's out on oil enhancers. Some people like the plant's genetic expression to be natural. Some people like to force it, so it's completely up to you. And then deficiencies, as we've already discussed, should keep a good source of nitrogen, mighty growth enhancer, good source of calcium, magnesium, your CalMag, and it is good to have a bit of an iron in there as well. If you've got pH problems, your iron is one of the first nutrients to be affected. Make sure you've got a good iron nutrient in there. The one that we used to use and we still use today is our nano iron. It's the most readily available and it gets into your plant really quickly. So they're the 4 things that you have with deficiencies. And there you go. That was nice. It was a quick run through podcast, wasn't it?
I like it.
We're going to try and mix up for the people that are listening and loyal listeners. We are trying to mix up. We tend to do an hour to an hour and a half. We are going to try and do a few shorter podcasts for the people who haven't got as much time and try and really burst out some good info. So hopefully that was one of the shorter ones.
What's the next podcast on?
Next podcast is the grower's steering wheel. So when you increase or decrease your temperatures, a lot of other things change in your room. When you decrease humidity, a lot of other things change in your room. If you do whatever action you do in your grow room, it always affects 2, 3, or even 4 other factors in your grow room. And if you're not controlling those other things and jockeying your plant, then things can get a bit messy. So it's about the grower's steering wheel now to maintain your environment. And when you change one thing, the other things to look out for.
And stay on the road.
Stay on the road, Jack. Don't you come back no more, no more, no more. I always manage to get a song in, don't I? It's like a new thing, this now. I like it.
Ridiculous.
It is. No, it's funny and I like it. Yeah. So there you go, Barry. Podcast 214, The Grower's Cabinet. If you've got any questions, get them into our Instagram at NPK_live. If you want to talk to us about shop, it's at NPK Technology. No, it's not. You know what? It's like the number one thing that I'm on all the time. And our Instagram is NPK_hydroponics. That's what we are. And there you go. Thank you very much for listening. I hope everyone's had a lovely weekend. And if you're listening years down the line, well, hello from Stephen in the past. Think about that. Someone might be listening to this for the first time and it's 2024. Do you know what I mean? So hello 2024. Yeah. I hope the last 4 years have been amazing for you. I know.
We are a COVID, yeah.
I know, yeah. Message us. Right. Hope everyone takes it easy. Speak to you all soon. Love you lots.
Yeah, man.
Bye-bye.